There was once a time when we thought the world was good, people were kind, and we thought we were capable of conquering anything and everything. But it usually goes that with growing older, the world teaches us otherwise. We fall in love, get hurt, lied to, and eventually fail. Are these happenings slowly disintegrating our trust in others and ourselves? Or is it the continuous message from the society to compete, defend ourselves, and harden up if we are to survive? Some insidious, invisible force drains from us our boundless energy and curiosity, leaving a wariness that makes us question the motives of everyone, including ourselves. As a poet William Wordsworth once said, "The child is the father of a man," or in other words, the characteristic of a child determines what we become as an adult. Unfortunately, during our adult years, the spontaneity and joy driving us to act gradually gets covered with fungus of fear and doubt, always making us more cautious, more skeptical, and less willing to take risks. A world that once seemed full of adventure has today been contextualized into a survival of the fittest settings. It feels like we just survive instead of actually living. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote about the loss of youthful innocence in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. He described the stages of life, from the camel who bears the burden of the society, to the lion who fights against this constraint, and finally to the child, who represents a return to innocence and creativity. Nietzsche argues that to truly live, we must reclaim the childlike spirit, the capacity to see things world with fresh eyes. But how many of us truly make that journey? How many remain stuck as camels, carrying the weight of societal expectations? In today's video, we will revisit the essence of what made our childhood so magical and reflect on the qualities we have lost along the way as we transitioned into what is often referred to as maturity. Children's happiness is usually decided by a couple of mental characteristics and outlooks that, for the most part, changes with age. As children, we lived in a world filled with wonder, curiosity, and boundless imagination. Each day was a new adventure, untainted by the pressure of societal expectations or the burdens of responsibility. We viewed the world with fresh eyes, unafraid to explore, ask questions, and embrace the unknown. Life was an open field where joy could be found in simplest of things. A game of hide and seek, the discovery of a new place, or even in the way the clouds form different shapes in the sky. However, as we grow older, the weight of adult life gradually chips away at this childlike wonder. The spontaneity and a carefree spirit that once defined us, it's replaced by routine, caution, and an ever-growing fear of failure. We become more concerned with the outcomes, achievements, and the judgment of the others. In our pursuit of success, stability, and recognition, we slowly lose the playful energy that once came to us so naturally. The imagination that fueled our day turns into calculated decision-making. The joy we once found in the simplest pleasure is often foreshadowed by the stress of daily life, and the sense of endless possibility becomes confined by the walls of practicality and realism. This shift isn't always noticeable at first. It happens subtly, through small moments where we choose safety over adventure, conformity over creativity, and skepticism over trust. Society tells us to grow up, to leave behind the childish way of thinking and behaving. We are encouraged to be responsible, to settle down, and to focus on building a life that is defined by traditional markers of success, career advancement, financial security, and a social status. But in this process of growing up, we often lose touch with the most authentic part of ourselves. Trust. As children, we are quick to make friends, to trust others, and to believe in the goodness of the people around us. There is a natural openness in the childhood, a willingness to approach others with curiosity and optimism, unburdened by the fear of being hurt or rejected. Children don't overthink interactions. They are guided by pure instinct and emotions, forming bonds quickly and effortlessly. A simple smile or shared interest in a game is often enough to spark a new friendship. This openness is driven by an underlying belief that people, in general, are kind and trustworthy. There's a sense of safety in the world, a confidence that those around us will support and care for us. However, as we grow older, life teaches us that this trust is not always rewarded. We encounter moments of disappointment, betrayal, and heartbreaks. The people we believe in may let us down, and our kindness may not always be reciprocated. Slowly, these experiences shapes our perception. We start to question the intention of the others, wondering whether they truly have the best interest at heart. Where we once offered trust freely, we now hesitate, weighing the risk. We become more cautious and more guarded, protecting ourselves from further pain. The innocence that allowed us to form deep connections begins to fade, replaced by the sense of wariness. It becomes harder to let other people in because we fear being vulnerable, and vulnerability feels like an invitation to be hurt. As this wariness grows, we start building emotional walls around ourselves, defenses that we believe will keep us safe. In many ways, these emotional walls isolate us. The more we guard ourselves, the more distant we become from others. The irony is that the very defense we build to protect ourselves from emotional pain often contribute to a deeper kind of suffering, loneliness and isolation. By guarding our hearts too fiercely, we cut ourselves off from the potential for love, connection, and understanding. We miss out on opportunity to form meaningful relationships because we are too focused on avoiding the possibility of getting hurt. And in doing so, we may find ourselves longing for the kind of connection we had as a children, those pure, uncomplicated bonds that were built on trust, openness, and vulnerability. Playfulness and curiosity. As a kid, our imagination ran wild. Our curiosity had no limits, and we could spend hours playing and exploring without a care in the world. But as we grow older, something changes. That's definitely the pursuit of success. And then we start to get more serious, more concerned about what others think. In the pursuit of respect and validation, we often end up sacrificing our own happiness. We become afraid to express our creativity, fearing we might be judged or ostracized by the society. And so we build walls, becoming defensive, fearful of standing out. Now think about this. If I give you a toy right now, could you play with it? Not just play, but actually enjoy it. For most of us, the answer is no. Why? Because somewhere along the way, we have learned to associate playfulness with childishness. We find it uncomfortable, even embarrassing to engage in something as simple as playing with a toy. But why? Over time, we have been conditioned to prioritize how we appear in the eyes of the others, so much so that we have compromised our own sense of joy and authenticity. We have traded our playful spirit for societal approval, sacrificing our true selves in the process of misleading ourselves to think that it would take millions of dollars to make us happy. Living in the present. Perhaps the most striking features kids innately possess yet appear to lose with the advance of age is living wholly in the now, living in the present moment. Children relate to the world with an immediate rawness. Every experience houses novelty, and they plunge into it wholeheartedly, playful, learning, or simply watching life. But then, as time goes on, we will be less likely to know this present-focused mind. We get caught up in what's in the future or burdened by what's past. COVID-19 started almost 5 years ago. And that's a fact. But now when we look back, it feels like it hasn't been that much time has passed, does it? We remember it as children, time dragged on. A year was seemingly endless since everything was new and different, and every day was filled with another things discovered. However, as we grow older, time appears to fly by. Days melt into weeks, weeks into months, and before one could even work out what's going on, years have whizzed by. Time seems to speed up as we grow older. It's generally referred to as a psychological convention that can be paralleled with time dilation. Not the time dilation of Einstein's relativity theory, but rather a psychological version in which time seems to speed up. The world is new in childhood and thus full of novel experiences. With our brain running into and processing new information all the time is more replete and hence richer. Just think of how the summer holidays dragged on when you were a child but whizzed by as an adult. And finally, with age, the burden of routine replaces magic and novelty and makes our brain work less hard. And most of the time, we operate in autopilot. That is when time does really seem to speed up because fewer new memories are created. Days are shorter, weeks a haze, months and years passing, it would seem, in the blink of an eye. Very rarely do the children worry about either the past or the future. They aren't concerned with impending deadlines, on-time bill paying, or with plans for the future. The complete immersion in the present moment drags time down for them, beginning to make every day long and full of possibilities. As adults, we lose this ability to stay present. Most of our mental time and energy are used either in planning for what is to come or in ruminating over what has already passed. This habit of always looking forward or always looking backward gives us not only a sense of time slipping through our hands, but also seizes us from effectively connecting in the present. I have already made an entire video on that topic before. Watch it if you want to know more about it in detail. Okay, getting back to the topic, we pass through all those moments that are actually passing in front of us because we are fixated on either a moment that's going to come or ones that passed by, making us feel like we don't have enough time. For a conclusion, the journey from childhood to adulthood often comes with loss of many beautiful qualities: trust, playfulness, imagination, and ability to truly live in the present moment. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that in order to survive, we must harden ourselves, guard our hearts, and let go of the openness that once defined us. I'm not trying to say that we should abandon all our responsibility or place blind trust in everyone. Instead, the point I'm trying to make here is to find a balance, to remain open and curious, and yet playful, while also being discerning and wise. It's about recognizing that although life can be difficult and people may sometimes let us down, we don't have to lose a sense of wonder, creativity, and connection that made our childhood so magical. So while adulthood may teach us caution and responsibility, we must not forget the value of a childlike spirit. It's not about recklessly throwing away all caution, but about reclaiming the part of ourselves that allow us to live with joy, spontaneity, and trust. True maturity is not only about surviving, it's about learning how to truly live. Thank you for watching.